Hello everyone. I'm going to talk about a book called Jesus Through Pagan Eyes. And I first want to comment that I have a lot of respect for pagans. They have been tortured and ridiculed by Christians for maybe the past 1,900 years, maybe 1,800 years. Or basically the past 2,000 years, might as well say that. And there are several who are still, to this day, heavily ridiculed and hurt by Christians. And most pagans, or just about every pagan I have actually interacted with, has never, despite all of that, none of them have ever ridiculed me or attacked me for being a Christian. So I first have to thank pagans for that. For not harming me. I mean, of course, that would be going against the creed, and ye harm none, do what you will. Yes, I know a little bit about paganism, but the idea of a book called Jesus Through Pagan Eyes might sound really weird, but look at where Christmas came from. Yule. Pagan holiday. Look at where Easter came from. Ostara. Again, pagan holiday. And then, look at Roman Catholicism. It has things like Mary, the Virgin Mother, the Mother of God. That, to me, that seems kind of like sort of the Mother Goddess in paganism. Or then the different saints, kind of praying to the statues of the different saints. Which, like there's the saint of traveling, like St. Christopher, or Joan of Arc, the saint of, women's empowerment or something. And in a way that seems kind of like a mix of both polytheism and ancestor worship. And so there's definitely a lot of paganism in Christianity. So this it might seem like a weird title at first, but it isn't as much. Now, onto the book. I first want to talk about how I ended up reading it. I had heard about it from Bishop John Shelby Spong's Facebook page, and he spoke very highly of it. I mean, his opinion of it is even on the front cover of it. And I then told some pagans I knew about that book, and one of them said, oh yeah, I actually know a couple of people who were interviewed from it. And a while later, he lent me his copy of it because he was asked to write a review on it for a pagan website. And I think he's working on the review right now. I mean, it's been a while since he read it, but I was fortunate enough to also get to read his notes, and he did not like the author at all. He thought the scholarship was terrible, and things like the author was kind of making up a lot of things. Although I will comment that the author definitely knew a lot about different scholars, like John Dominic Crossan, his name I remember, and he talked a little bit about the Jesus Seminar, as I recall. But one of the things that the guy I borrowed it from did like was he liked many of the essays and some of the interviews. And a while later, after I'd read it, I came across someone promoting it on a Christian Facebook group. And I mentioned, oh yeah, I read it. There were people who I knew who critiqued the scholarship of the author, and then I didn't realize that it was the author of that book who was promoting it, and he then said, I'm not a scholar, so I'm glad that there are the other essays and interviews in it. I'm definitely glad about that. Then someone else in the discussion said, well, whenever it goes against the traditional Christian theology or beliefs, then it's considered bad scholarship. And then I said, actually, it was a pagan who critiqued the scholarship. Whoops. But yeah, definitely not not the best book on biblical scholarship, although he did give some interesting views. Like he talked about like the 12 card in tarot. It's a man hanging upside down, and the author thought of it as Jesus, and the person who I borrowed the book from had a note that said the 12 card is not Jesus, it's Judas. You know, Judas hung himself from after betraying Jesus. And I was thinking, he's upside down. It's Peter. And I guess in a way we're all right. Each one of us is correct in, but it's kind of weird. We all see things differently. And I recommend it to pagans who have an interest in Jesus. And I definitely think it's absolutely wonderful to see people of other religious faiths incorporating Jesus into their religious faith. I know some people will think of that as a bad thing. If Jesus would be disgusted about pagans incorporating him into their faith, he would probably be disgusted with Christianity as well, because he was Jewish. He was a Jewish rabbi. So that's something I'm going to comment on. Of the essays, there was one that I thought was interesting, which was about sort of the nakedness of Jesus. Sort of the three main parts of his life that we talk about were his birth, his baptism, and his crucifixion. All three of those times are times when people would have to be naked. And paganism has this big love for nakedness, which at the time I didn't understand. I've started to understand it a bit more. I've incorporated it into my Christian faith. I've made my shower into a ritual, okay, to a spiritual thing. That's about it. But I thought that was interesting, and some of the interviews I thought were great. Like Selena Fox definitely said like just about everything I'd wanted to hear as a Christian, pretty much. Although there was one interview, I forgot the guy's name. It was, I think, the next to last interview. He was just talking about, I guess in some ways I have to admit, yes, my fellow Christians have been jerks, but he was talking about all these Christians who had beaten him up for not being a Christian, and how Jesus really has no relevance to him. But at the end, there was a quote of his that I liked, that I'm not gonna give it word for word, but I'm gonna try to be accurate. That that some people will see this so-called epiphany moment. Some people will see Jesus, some will see Mary, some will see the goddess, some will see Thor, or some will see something else. Some will look around saying, "What are you all looking at?" And some won't even know what's going on. And that we all come from different cultures and different educational backgrounds and different things, that we should really embrace our differences. And so I really liked that quote, and I definitely I recommend it to Christians who have an interest in looking at other faiths. And there's definitely a lot that Christians can incorporate into their faith. And I definitely, again, I love how people of other faiths are incorporating Jesus into their religion. I think, and that's something that I definitely can't complain about. Although I'm definitely glad to be part of a religion centered around Jesus, but I definitely thought it was a great book overall. Thank you for watching. Shalom.